New 2022 Omega Aqua Terra 38mm models. What are they all about? They were announced a while ago, 3 months ago to be exact. I even did a reaction video of this release, and only now, 3 months later, I finally have a chance to play around with them, to have my hands on all 5 of the color variations. Big thanks to Omega Boutique in Vancouver for hooking me up. Aqua Terra has always been an interesting model for me personally. As the name would suggest, aqua meaning water and terra meaning land, these watches are meant for both land and sea. It is supposed to be a watch that you wear to a boardroom meeting as well as to a swimming pool on the weekend. It's your everyday watch. If you're brave enough, this model could be your one and only watch. And now it has 5 new color variations, so there has to be something for everyone. I'm going to showcase all 5 variants in this video: the Atlantic Blue, the Bay Green, the Sandstone, the Saffron, and the Terracotta. I will let you decide which one is your favorite, and later on I'll tell you which one is my favorite. Whichever one you choose, they pretty much all have the same specs. A 38mm case diameter, it has a lug opening of 19mm, and it's only about 12.3mm thick. The material is stainless steel on the case and on the bracelet. The crystal is made out of sapphire with AR coating, water resistance 150 meters, and the watch does feature a screw down crown. The movement is an automatic caliber 8800 coaxial Omega movement, and this model has a price of $6,400 US. It's not exactly a cheap model. I think it's supposed to compete with Rolex Oyster Perpetual models at a slightly lower price. Now, finishes wise, they're finished pretty well. We have a high polish finish on the case and alternating satin and polish finishes on the bracelet. I personally would prefer some satination on this case, but Omega, for one reason or another, chose a shiny route for this watch. And these watches are shiny. They reflect light like crazy, and they really stand out. Pair that with a unique dial color and you get yourself a watch that really plays with light and really makes its presence known. If you're into a timepiece that's very eye-catching, I personally would recommend you go with the saffron or the terracotta dial color variations, as those two catch your eye across the room. If you want a watch that's a little bit more stealthy, I would go with the Atlantic Blue or the Bay Green. These two sort of fly under the radar, even with that all polished case. All variations have 150 meters of water resistance, and they come with an Omega signed screw down crown. The size of the crown is perfect, not too big where it's uncomfortable to wear, but also not too small where it's hard to operate. They got it just right. On the wrist, the watch wears well. Admittedly, it's a bit on the smaller side of what I can pull off on my 7.5 inches wrist. I think it looks slightly undersized. It's a 38mm watch that wears like a 38mm watch. You know what I mean? Sometimes watches wear smaller, sometimes watches wear larger. This one wears like a true 38mm watch should wear. It's also a super thin watch, just a hair over 12mm, which definitely helps with the comfort. I can see myself wearing this watch all day and even forgetting that I have it on. I think Omega released this model in 38mm to be a unisex model. Yes, they do have a 34mm model that is targeting the female market, but I think this one here could also be worn by a lot of ladies. So if you're a man with a smaller wrist or someone who prefers watches that wear smaller, or if you're a lady, I think you'll be really happy with the fit of this watch. I personally prefer Aqua Terra in 41mm case. I think it just fits better on my wrist. It looks more proportionate. Unfortunately, Omega only released these unique dial colors in 38mm case for now. Hopefully a 41mm case is coming soon, and I know I'm not the only one hoping for that. Speaking of the dial colors, which one is my favorite? If I wanted to be a little bit more sensible, my favorite would be the Bay Green. I think it looks great. Even though it's a bit boring, I think it just fits well the aesthetic of this watch. It becomes a bit more understated, and overall I think it just looks amazing. But if I wanted to be a little bit more liberal, I would take this copper model, or this saffron as it's known, because that looks freaking awesome, especially as a summer watch. I think you can't go wrong with it, but you do have to like watches that attract quite a bit of attention. All the other dial colors are quite attractive as well. They are each unique in their own way. All of the dials are fashioned out of brass and have a sunburst effect. The finish on these dials differs slightly. We have PVD finish on the saffron, the sandstone, the Atlantic blue, and the bay green models, and the terracotta dial is created using CVD coating. The hands, the indexes, and the applied Omega logo are radium plated, and from what I hear, they're also made out of white gold. There is a date at the 6 o'clock position. In my opinion, the date is a little bit too close to the center of the dial. It looks a bit off. Maybe it's just me, but I think that date window would look better closer to the outer edge of the dial, sort of more down. The movement in this watch is an Omega caliber 8800. It's an automatic coaxial movement with 35 joules, 55 hours of power reserve, and a beat rate of 21,200 vibrations per hour, or 3.5 Hertz. It's a super solid MATA certified movement that comes with a 5-year warranty. Fun fact, it's actually exactly the same movement that you find in the green Omega Seamaster 300 that I reviewed a couple of weeks ago. On top of this being an accurate and reliable movement, it is also quite a beautiful movement to look at, and you do get a display caseback unlike Oyster Perpetual models, so you can appreciate it for what it is. Omega has redesigned the bracelet for this year's release, and for the most part it's great. It looks awesome and it's very comfortable, tapering from 19mm by the lugs to about 16mm by the clasp. However, I do have one negative with this bracelet, but more specifically with the butterfly clasp. The design of it is alright. To be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of butterfly clasps on watches, but that's not my problem with it. My problem with this clasp is the fact that it has no micro adjustments. And that can be a problem, especially if you're kind of in between sizes. Sometimes having 2 to 3 micro adjustments can be a game changer in terms of wrist comfort. So to sum it up, is this a perfect watch? No. Could this be your everyday watch? I guess it could be. And if it is, I think you'd still be happy with it. Yes, it has some negatives, like an odd choice of having 19mm lug width. I always find that a negative in watches because it's hard to find straps that are 19mm in width. Also, no micro adjustments on the clasp is a bit unfortunate, and the size of 38mm is not gonna fit everyone's preference. But on the other hand, overall this is a solid contender to be your everyday watch. It's comfortable, it feels luxurious, and it has all the specs that you would need for everyday use. I appreciate you watching this video until the end. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the YouTube channel, we release new videos every week, and let me know in the comment section below which dial variation is your favorite. In the description of this video there is a secret link, have a look if you're curious. Thanks for watching this review, and we'll see you next time. Bye.